Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. This is Abacus The Great here, and this is the introduction and draft analysis for the first of the two leagues that I will be putting on YouTube. This is the Brave Bird Battling League, or the BBBL, or the BBL, whatever. Uh, it's actually something pretty funny about this league. Uh, I had to get leftovers for this league because of the simple fact that I was not there for drafting weekend. I was in Houston last weekend, like I said sometime in that video a couple days ago. So I was in Houston, so I missed the draft, and I had to pick from leftovers. Now, there's a blessing and a curse to that. The blessing is that I get to pick all of my picks at the same time, which is great, so you're not risking having something be picked later that you were planning to pick at some point. On the flip side, there are a lot of things in Tier 1 and Tier 2 specifically that I cannot grab. For example, uh, I'll talk about that later. So, I can't draft, but I do have the draft chat on Skype on the car ride, and I'm looking at whatever everybody's drafting. I'm just looking to see what they're drafting, and I realized that the one that I really wanted was not there, and that Pokemon is Infernape. Infernape didn't go drafted for some reason. Uh, it. Yes, Flame Ryak is what I call my Infernapes, but Infernape is just so good. Just look at some of this move pool. It gets flying coverage, fighting, ground. It does get Calm Mind, bulk up. It gets pretty much. It gets multiple priority moves and fake out. I think quick attack. Does it get quick attack? No. But it gets Fake Out, Mach Punch, and Vacuum Wave for priority. It gets Shadow Claw, it gets Rock Move, it gets Poison coverage, it gets Fire and Fighting Stab, which is great stab. It gets Grass Knot, so it doesn't have to run HP Grass for water types. It gets, it's one of the best HP Ice users in the game. It gets Focus Plus for special fighting coverage, flying, ground, it gets Thunder Punch. It just gets so much stuff. It gets multiple statuses. It's a fast taunter. It gets both Sword Stance and Nasty Plot. It gets Slack Off. It gets Stealth Rock. It gets U-Turn. There are just so many things that this thing can do that it just is not replicated by any mon. Now, its attacking stats aren't amazing, but both of them are the same, which means that both its special and physical attacks are really good. Not great, not amazing, but good. That combined with Iron Fist Mach Punches, a Choice Band and Mach Punch from this thing hurts with an Iron Fist bonus. Just again, looking at some of the things this thing gets, it gets every single form of coverage not named Dragon or Quiver Dance, I'm pretty sure. This thing gets Hone Claws. Those Hone Claws gunk shots, real quick. Nice. But seriously, though, it's very good. You can run sub SD, you can run special, you can run physical, you can run mixed. It gets work up. It gets slack off for recovery, even though base 71 defense you're not going to be running recovery on this thing. You're just not. That being said, it's just great. It gets Encore. I didn't even know it got Encore. That's how good this mon is. It's one of my favorite mons in the game, and I don't even know it gets Roar. That's not very surprising. It's just an amazing Pokemon. It also is there for Fulton. You can run Scarf, Bandit, Specs if you want to, Life Orb, Expert Belt, Assault Vest, Focus Sash, Lead Set. You can run some bulky set with lefties or a Rocky Helmet or whatever. You could run Power Up Solar Beam. I think it gets Solar Beam. Right? Yeah, I get Solar Beam if you want to do that. That'd be interesting. You could run Lumberry for those Toxics and stuff like that. There's just so many different sets and moves you can run with Infernape. There are very few Pokemon in the metagame. I can only really think of one that I think doesn't get 2-hit KO'd by one of its coverage moves. I think Melodic doesn't get 2-hit KO'd by Grass Knot, because I think it's only like 100 power instead of 120. Let me see here. Melodic. Yeah, it's only base 100 power, so it probably isn't a 2-hit KO. But that being said, if you predict his EVs correctly and run Thunder Punch instead, then you still might be able to 2-hit KO it. So, there are just a multitude of possibilities with Infernape. This thing is just uh so good. Give me a second here. I'll be right back, guys. I am back. I just had to do a little Skype chatting there. I had to figure out exactly what I was going to tell him. Yeah, this thing just hits hard with Flare Blitz and things like that, or you could have it as just a Life Orb sweeper. Things like that is just so good. Um, so I get Infernape, and I originally wanted to draft Skarmory as my other tier 1, but Skarmory was drafted in like the 8th round or something like that. Not exactly sure, but around like probably 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th round. I don't have the draft chat up right this second. But I'm looking at what walls weren't drafted, and I'm thinking, oh, I guess I should describe to you guys exactly how I wanted to draft this. How I like to draft is that I like having one tier, like for my 3 tier 1s, either a mega and 2 tier 1s, or 3 tier 1s and like a lower tier mega. I like to draft one really good offensive sweeper, offensive mon, in this case Infernape, and then 2 really good walls. I sort of did that here, but I definitely at least wanted one. And what's one mon that can... first of all, wasn't drafted, so not Cresselia, but it's a 1-mon wall core. It can just... It doesn't get 2-hit KO'd by anything, right? It just doesn't get 2-hit KO'd by anything. I drafted Hippowdon. The Rock! Not? Who would you think? Oh, you'd think Dwayne The Rock Johnson. No, actually, Hippowdon The Rock Morocco. So, yeah, that's where I'm getting this nickname from. But this thing is just, its bulk is insane. 108 HP combined with 118 defense, and a special defense that's good enough for you to run special defense. It's just so good. It's really slow, but it's a wall that gets Stealth Rocks, so Infernape doesn't have to run Stealth Rocks every week, thankfully. It gets Earthquake, it gets Rock Slide, Iron Head, Ice Fang. This thing gets a lot more coverage than you may think. It gets all the Fangs and Crunch, it gets Earthquake, it gets Iron Head, and it gets Rock Slide and Superpower. That's all you need, really. But for support moves, it gets Stealth Rock, Toxic of course, Substitute if you want, Whirlwind, Slack Off is one of the more important ones, Roar, that's about it for coverage moves, but it's just really good in general. You can run like a standard set with Stealth Rock and Slack Off if you want, and like run a specially defensive Hippo, and it just does not die. It doesn't die. That's all that matters. It just does not die. So, I originally wanted to have my tier 2 be Florges, a physically defensive mon that has such good physical defense that you can run special defense in it, and a really good Spadef mon that has such good special defense you can run physical defense in it. Sadly, Florges was taken, and I did not know this until after I submitted my picks, so I had to go change this last minute. So this is actually the last one that I picked up, but it was my tier 2. And that mon is Blissey. Yes, Blissey is really good in this format. Now, of course, this means I didn't get a fairy, but I have enough fairy type attacks on my team, I think, that I will be able to get away with it. Blissey gets Dazzling Gleam if I need to run it, and there are some other things later on that I can run a fairy type attack on. Obviously, not what I have drafted yet, but there's at least one other mon that gets a pretty powerful fairy type attack, Dazzling Gleam specifically. But I'll talk about that later. But what does Blissey do that Florges doesn't? Well, first of all, it's Wish Passes. Yeah. I used to do a UU team with Mega Blastoise and Blissey Wish Passing, and a max HP Blissey passing into a max HP Blastoise will heal it from full when a... Okay, so let's say a Mega Blastoise is at 4 HP. The Blissey will then heal it to full. That is how insane Blissey is. Blissey is just absurd when it comes to Wish Passing. When it comes to pure HP, it's the best Wish Passer in the game. Also, when it comes to having a specially defensive mon that has so good special defense, you can run physical defense in it. Blissey! I don't know what I'm gonna call Blissey. Maybe, Miss Bliss, my, guidance counselor in school. Miss Blissey. That'd be kind of funny. But yeah, it gets, see, the great thing about Blissey that's not so great about Chansey is that Blissey's special attack stat is not good, but it's good enough to be able to actually run its really, really good move pool. It gets Bolt Beam, I think, right? It gets Thunderbolt? Yeah, it gets the Bolt Beam, it gets Fire Coverage, Grass Knot, Blizzard, Dazzling Gleam, Seismic Toss, Stealth Rock, another Stealth Rocker. Oh, I just realized I have 5 Stealth Rockers. I thought I only had 4. I was not even thinking about Bliss as a Stealth Rocker. Wow. Gets, healing in the form of Soft Boiled, it gets Shadow Ball. If anybody drafted Gothitelle, you gets T-Wave, which is nice. Of course, Wish Passing, headbutt. Its physical attack is awful. 25. Without any IVs. It gets Aromatherapy. Basically, it does everything Florges does without being a fairy type and with more HP. Florges' base HP stat is actually pretty low, which is the sad thing about Florges. But I know it's really good in the format, because it has like 6 kills in another league I am in. But yeah, Blissey is just amazing. That HP stat is so good. So, moving on to my tier 3s, there were a couple of things I wanted. Originally, when I was drafting these tier 3s, I was thinking I wanted a Fairy Dragon Steel Core with Florges, and I wanted Fire, Water, Grass Core. A balanced Fire, Water, Grass Core. So, in the balanced one, you usually want something that prefers to run offensively, something that prefers to run defensively, and something that can really run either pretty well. And I feel like that's what I got pretty well with Empoleon and the thing I'll be talking about in a second. So Infernape, of course, prefers to run offense. It really can't run defense, really. But Empoleon does a couple of things. First of all 4 of these Pokemon get Stealth Rock. All 4 of them. Right? Yep, there it is. So, yeah. You have no idea where the rocks are coming from. But I will probably be running them every single week. This is also a defogger. My team ends up being not Hazard Week at all. I'll talk about the only one that is Hazard Week. Talk about it later. But it gets Defog, it gets Stealth Rock, it gets Ice Beam, Scald Spam. It gets some pretty cool coverage. Its attack stat is not good, but it's good enough to be able to run some priority Aqua Jets if you need to. It's not my only form of priority. I have a Infernape, of course, and I think something else. Do I? I don't remember. I'll talk about that later. Yeah, I know I have one other thing. It's not great, but I'll talk about it in a second. Scald, Ice Beam, Knockoff. It's really all it needs. It could also run some, like, Sub-Pataya set. Pataya, right? It's a special attack berry? Yeah, special attack berry. Basically, sub down to 25%. Grab your Pataya, agility, and just sweep things with Scald and Flash Cannon. Yeah, also being a water type and a steel type really helps for Fairy Dragon Steel Core. As names go, I could call him, like, I think Kingpin, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. I'll worry about Empoleon's names later. Then we have Shaman. Was my other tier 3 pickup. Shaman is just, it's Seed Flare spam. Shaman is just really, really, really good. Its coverage is pretty good. It's a second fairy type attack that's pretty decent. Coming off of base 100 special attack rather than 75 this time. It gets Aromatherapy if I don't want Bliss to run it. Healing Wish support for Infernape and Empoleon. Bullet Seed. It can run special attack or physical attack, even though it usually prefers to run special attack, or it could run defensive. Subseed set is pretty good. It gets Rest, so it gets semi-reliable recovery, and I think it gets Synthesis. Oh, it does get Synthesis. So it does get reliable recovery. But it's usually preferred to run Rest, so, Rest plus Natural Cure is really nice. Like, 3 attacks Life Orb. So, like, almost a balance of special attack and, defense is really nice there. And, of course, being a base 100 Pixie, make it... Stop it! There. Sorry about that. But yeah. Seed Flare spam plus its coverage with Earth Power plus Air Splash plus Dazzling Gleam just makes it really, really strong. Next. My tier 5. I have Hippowdon. Hippowdon is fun. Hippowdon is nice. It gets this nice little ability called Sandstream. Now, I'm not planning to draft Excadrill, but with a tier 5, you want one of two things. Something that can fill a niche role, or something that makes your opponents prepare for it. And that's what Stoutland does. I can. Yep, there it is. Stoutland. Stoutland is just nice. I think its last ability is Sheer Force. No, Scrappy. So this thing is one of the few Pokemon that gets three really good abilities: Intimidate, Sandrush, and Scrappy. You can run like Intimidate if you want to run a bulky one, with its defenses being okay. Actually, 85, 90, 90 is not terrible. It's not wall, but it's not terrible. With base 80 speed, it's a second fast Sand Rusher. I'm pretty sure Sand Slash isn't faster, right? Sand Slash. Base 65, yeah. But yeah, Choice Band is out one with either Sand Rush with Hippowdon or Return, or Scrappy returns. Very, very strong depending on whatever team I'm facing. That's basically all you need, but it also gets things like Pursuit Trapping, Play Rough. I didn't even know it got Play Rough. Play Rough, Crunch, Fire Fang. I think it gets all three of the fangs. Yes, it does not, but it gets Wild Charge, so good enough. Return, Roar, Sub, Thunder Wave, Superpower, Surf. Um, Special attack is terrible, so no. But yeah, that's the basic idea with what you want to do with Stoutland. So moving on to the second team, we have not the second team, the second part of the team. So next, I'm going to talk about my Mega, which is around the time where I figured out what Mega I wanted. See, at this point, of course, I had Florges, so I wanted Dragon Fairy Steel Core. And I wanted a bulky Dragon type. Now, Mega Altaria was still on the board, but I don't really like using Mega Altaria. I just don't like it as my Fairy type. It's just not very... I don't know, I just don't like using it. It feels to be too slow, and it just... I don't know. And maybe that's just me. But, what's the only other Tier 1 Mega that's a bulky Dragon type? Oh, yeah! Mega Garchomp with those Kyurem Black stats right there. Yeah, Mega Garchomp is just, it's Mega Garchomp. A lot of people diss this Mega just because of its 9 base, speed points lost. But I mean, when you have this, the Shark Blade thing, how are you moving the speed of base 102? No, you don't. You run base 92, and that's fine, because your defenses are good enough to be running base 92 in a draft format. 108, 115, 95 defenses are good enough for me. It's a nice balanced Dragon Fairy, Steel Tor, Florges, Empoleon, and Mega Garchomp. But of course I don't have Florges anymore, so that's sort of sad. I mean, I guess in hindsight I could have replaced Mega Garchomp and Mega Altaria. But hey, Mega Garchomp's going to be more fun. Also, Hippowdon, Sand plus Mega Garchomp Sand Force. Stop killing the children, Mega Garchomp. Stop it. Stop it! No! No! Stop. I mean, I'm gonna call you Widowmaker. Because that's really funny. Stop killing her husband! Stop it! No! Seriously though, this thing's attack stats go into insane levels with the Sand Force boost. It's so good. Oh, so powerful. I mean, those Sand Force Earthquakes just start murdering people. And if I want to run, Sand Force boosted Iron Heads to kill more fairies, Sand Force boosted Rock Slides for more flying types to die. It's just, it's so strong. It's so strong. I'll put it this way for Mega Garchomp's strength. If Hippowdon gives Mega Garchomp Sand Force, Mega Garchomp can 2-hit KO Hippowdon with Earthquake. Yep! No. Also, this thing can run special attacks, just like Kyurem Black. But unlike Kyurem Black, it actually has 2 usable stab moves. In Dragon Claw and Earthquake, or Outrage, or Dragon Pulse, or Draco Meteor. I could run mixed, drop a Draco on something, and it's going to take a lot of damage, and it's going to be, that's going to be really good. That's what it likes to do. It gets nice coverage on things like Aqua Tail and Brick Break and Crunch, and Uh, Fire, Steel, like I said, Iron Head earlier, Outrage, Poison Jab, Rock Slide, Shadow Claw, and that's my fifth Stealth Rocker right there. Out of my first 7 months, I picked 5 Stealth Rockers, so that's fun. And Stone Edge. You could run Sub SD, just SD in general. Stop it. No, stop it. SD in general. Toxic. Uh, you could run like a Restock set if you want. It could be interesting. Restock with Outrage could be very, very interesting. Switching on things to get that rough skin damage. It's just a good set. It's just a good mon. It's very underrated in the format, I think. I guess it's largely untested, but I think it'll work. I think it'll make it work. So, I'm looking at my next my next thing. So I picked a tier one as one of my free mons, right? So for my last three, I basically to optimize my points, I would want to pick a tier four, a tier five, and a tier two. So starting with my wow, Alex, you forgot to do your required tier four, and your okay. So let's talk about my two tier fours. Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? Okay. So my tier two four. So at this point, I have not revealed my two tier fours, my second tier five, and my second tier two. So the first tier four, when I was looking at things on tier four that were left that I really wanted, the first thing I saw at the very bottom was Zoroark, and I said, you know what, Zoroark will be fun. Zoroark will be really fun. It will be really good. Illusion is just really, really good. It gets Night Days, which is a where is Night Days? I guess Night Days isn't. That's weird. But a 40% chance to lower the target's accuracy is just really nice. You run like Psych Up and then sweep people under an illusion. That would be nice. Um, you could run Counter U-Turn. It gets Sucker Punch, which is unreliable priority, which is nice. It's knockoff spam, low kick. It gets pretty good on the physical and special side, a bit better on the special side. Base 105 speed. It actually has a very similar build to Infernape. A little bit less bulk, a little bit more attacking stats, and slightly slower. It's just really good. And speaking of Infernape, it gets a lot of the coverage moves that Infernape gets. Flamethrower specifically, and low kick. So, yeah, and Grass Knot. So you're thinking that Zoroark disguised as an Infernape clicking and clicking Grass Knot on you. And I'm like, no, my water type, and you hit it with like a ground move and it lives. What? I don't know, something like that, or it's immune to a psychic attack. Something stupid like that, but it also gets set up in Agility and Calm Mind and Nasty Plot, so, and it can Pursuit Trap, which is really nice. So Zoroark is just a really strong mod. It can run Life Orb, an extra belt, and its stats are just really, really strong. For my other tier 4, this is actually the last one on my team I picked other than the Blissey, so I'll skip that for now. I'll talk about those. These were basically the last 3 mons that I picked. First of all, I wanted a Defogger, I wanted a Ground Immunity, which I did not have, and at this point, and throughout the rest of it, my team, nobody on my team was weak to rocks, and I had, one resist here, and 2, 3. I have 3 rock resist and no weaknesses. So I can survive getting a really good Defogger that's a flying type that's weak to rocks. In tier 2, the best one there is Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is very good with Zoroark because I could run Knockoff or Dark Pulse if I want to, and try just to fake out people that I'm a Zoroark. Zoroark is one of those few mons that having 2 Dark types with a Zoroark is actually fine because you want to be able to disguise it as something pretty easily. It gets Defog, it gets Roost, it gets Taunt. It's a decently fast taunter. I have a bunch of fast taunt, which is nice. Air Slash, Brave Bird, Defog, Roost, that's what it does. So yeah, my only Pokemon that's weak to rocks is one of my 2 Defoggers. Which makes having to run Defog, like, it doesn't force me to run Defog every week, unlike on that other team in the GPL. So that's nice. It also gives me some more Volt turn coverage. Does Aurora get U-turn? I'm wondering. I don't think it does. Oh, it does. Cool. So I have U-turn coverage of these two, and U-turn with that thing, and then I get Volt Switch with something else later. That something else is my second tier 5 Electrode. So let me explain Electrode for you. Electrode is, first of all, I wanted a fast Electro type, and Electrode is the fastest Electro type in the game, period. It is, like, up there in the top 5 or 10 fastest Pokemon of all time. I think it's the third fastest non-mega, no, it's the second fastest non-mega and non-legendary behind Ninjask, I'm pretty sure. Because Aerodactyl and Jolteon and Crobat are 130. That sounds right. Right? Speed. Yeah, Deoxys Speed, Ninjask, Deoxys Attack, regular Deoxys, a couple of Megas, Excelgor, and then some more Megas, and then Electrode. So, yeah, that's where Electrode stands. It's like 10th or whatever, and it's on the first page. So Electrode is nice. It can run like a spec set. It gets 3 semi-useful abilities and soundproof for, I guess, static and aftermath. It's probably what I'll be using most often. And it gets, it's just a nice spec set. It gets, and it's another Thunder Waver, and it gives me Volt Switch. No. No, 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 and no. No Sucker Punch. Bad. Bad. Could run something stupid like Fury Impulse or Electro Ball. Electro Ball is very good with Electro just because of how fast this thing is. You could actually genuinely run an Electro Ball set, which is nice. It also gets Magic Coat and screens. Does it get both screens? No, but it does get Light Screen, which is nice. So that's mainly what Electro does. It can also explode, but it's not very good at it. So, now last mon, I'm looking, and there are a couple things I'm weak to, specifically Ice. I have a bunch of Ice weaknesses to Powdon, Mega Garchomp, and Shaman, and my only resistances are Empoleon and Infinite. They're both 4x resists, if I recall correctly, or one of them's a 4x resist, at least. But Empoleon is weak to ground, and not that physically bulky, and Infernape is pretty frail. So I definitely want another Ice Resist. Having a second Steel type is pretty good. Having 2 Steel types, especially since they only share 1 weakness. No, they don't share a weakness, excuse me. It's fine, and I needed a tier 4 here, so I decided to pick a Scavalier. Scavalier is really good. It doesn't get, I remember one battle in, I think, Season 4 of the GBA, or Season 5. Kieran Black was facing the Scavalier, and Assault Vest Scavalier did not get 2-hit KO'd by HP Fire, which is very useful, it's great to have 4x weaknesses to be able to, waste a move slot on them, so you can lure in a hidden power, which is sort of nice. But it also, when you have something that can take that Empower 4x weakness, it's really nice. And this thing's bulk is similar to, this one's actually better. Wow. Other than Spadef, maybe. But yeah, Scavalier is really bulky. Its attack stat's great. You could run a Choice Banded set. You could run a, Life Orb, I guess. You could run a Scavalier Belt, Expert Belt. And you could run, Assault Vest, mainly, is what it runs. Mega Horn, Drill Run, Knockoff, more Knockoff, Poison Jab, Iron Head. It just does a lot of stuff. So, for a couple of nicknames, Zori, I don't know why. It was when I caught a Zorua in Black 2, I named it Zori. So that's always what I call my Zoroark lines. I forgot what I called Mandibuzz. I'll get to that later. A reference to Prodririd's Fire Red Let's Play, the Splody. Exploded upon. But, yeah. And finally, Scavalier, I'll call it John, because he always seems to have it. But yeah, that is my team for you, just as a quick update. I have Infernape, Hippowdon, Blissey, Empoleon, Shaman, Stoutland, Mega Garchomp, Zoroark, Mandibuzz, Electrode, and Scavalier. Just a couple of things afterwards. My speed tiers are pretty decent. I have Electrode at 140, then it drops to Infernape at 108, and then Zoroark at 105, Shaman at 100, Mega Garchomp at 92, Stoutland and Mandibuzz at 80. Blissey at 55. Um, Hippowdon at 47, and then Escavalier at like 30 or 20. I think 20. 20? 20. But yeah, that's my team speed tiers wise. A couple of weaknesses. I have. Well, I guess when I say weaknesses, I mean type weaknesses. I have three ice weaknesses and only two. No, four ice weaknesses and only two bulky ice resists. But I think my team's pretty strong in general. I have a nice Wish Passer. I have some Clerics. I have some Volt Turn. I can run Hyper Offense if I want, like Zorg, Mega Garchomp, Infernape, Electrode, Shaman, and I don't know, Scavalier or something like that. Or I could run Semi-Sol even if I want to with like Manabuzz, Escavalier, Empoleon, Shaman, Blissey, and Hippowdon. Or something like that. I can run a mini Sand Team. I sort of have a backdoor Sand Team, which is really funny. I have a sand team or a semi-sand team without Excadrill, which is kind of funny, you know. I mean, I could theoretically sub out Infinite for Excadrill because it did not get drafted, but eh, it's I don't know. We'll see later on, but I think this is what I'll have for now, at least. But yeah, I think my team is pretty good. I can run Balance, I can run Volturn. I can basically, this is a team that allows me to run pretty much any playstyle that I want to, aside from Full Out Stall, which I would not do, at least on purpose. Uh, but I think my team's really strong. It has lots of hazards, enough hazard removal for however weak my team is to rocks, which it's not at all. Like I said, Mana Buzz, and that's it. And that's my team for you guys. I hope I'll see you guys next time, and see ya.